Good afternoon, or good evening, or wherever you are in the world. I thought it would be good to touch base again and have a chat. It's been a few weeks. And first I'd like to do is really to thank you very sincerely. How many of you sent some very nice birthday wishes? As you may know, it was my 60th birthday last week, or about 10 days ago. And it seems quite a scary number, 60, doesn't it? I still feel 21, but it seems a bit strange being 60. But it was very touching. And so thank you so much, whether people that work with me or our members, or other companies we do business with. It was deeply appreciated, so thank you. So let me give you a bit of an update on what's happening in the group. It's the ever-changing situation all over the world and in our group as well. Let's start with Indonesia. One of the most exciting things is that we have our newest resort, Karma Salak, fully operational, fully up and running. The people behind it got it done in record time, so I very much thank everyone involved in the development of that resort. It's now fully furnished, the room is all open, the restaurant's there. It's been extremely popular. In its first month, it exceeded expectations. Primarily people coming from, obviously, domestic tourism, Indonesian consumers, but from the Jakarta area. So I'm very encouraged by that. And it certainly vindicates the strategy, I think, that we've had of developing more resorts which appeal both to a domestic market in the short term, when clearly international travel is difficult, but then in the long term will be very attractive to all people from all over the world, because where Salak is located in the highlands, it's just magnificent with volcanoes and natural beauty and scenic things around it. So we are very swiftly going to be opening another resort in Java. Our acquisition team are out there at the moment, beavering around, looking at opportunities. And as I said in some of my last speeches, we intend to have 4, 5, 6 resorts as swiftly as possible that are domestic locations in the Indonesian marketplace. So watch this space for that. Over in Bali, tourism has been a bit restricted. We know, of course, that it's just domestic, but there have been a bit more restrictions put on the domestic movement in Indonesia. So tourism has been down, but we still have a good number of our members coming, and our resorts, specifically Kandara, is open. The beach club is buzzing. On a very positive note, I can announce that we are, as swiftly as possible, in the next few weeks, going to recommence all the construction at Kandara and all the new buildings and blocks and villas that we couldn't do, clearly, for quite some time because of lockdown and difficulty of getting labour. But we will, as swiftly as possible, recommence that, which I'm very pleased and happy to see go forward. Down in Australia, Rottnest had a very good month in February. It's good to see that despite problems, everyone involved in the Rottnest swim still has a healthy and thirsty appetite after the event. Clearly, we were locked down for a week. As many of you know, West Australia had a lockdown, and that didn't help. But overall, it's still very bullish and very buzzy. I hoped, to be candid, to be able to announce a new resort in Australia for you. As you know, I'm very keen on getting a new resort. And even though I have to do it from a distance, we do have some very talented people down there who are looking at assets. And we thought we had something, but it was like a fish that got away. At the last minute, it slips away from our hands. But we will, and I'm very confident that we are going to get more product in Australia for you. So please don't think I've forgotten that, or that's not a priority for us. Over in India, again, we're looking at new resorts. We are looking in the Rajasthan specifically. We have a couple of very good opportunities that we're going to be pursuing and expect to see some development there quite soon. And down in Goa, we finally got some permits on a piece of land that we have to take it to the next stage, which is building permits. And so we will be building a new resort in Goa. Goa is clearly where we began. It's very special to us. We have very strong ties there. So I'm very excited about having a new resort in Goa, which we'll start developing in the next few years. But I'll sneak you a preview of some plans as we go along. I don't get shot by doing that. Otherwise, India is quite robust. I mean, I have to say, I think the world probably foolishly or unfairly expected India to suffer far worse from the pandemic than it has. And for whatever reason, it really has been quite robust. The economy has rebounded. The vaccine program has been rolled out at an incredibly speedy rate. I read there was 1 million people a day currently being vaccinated in India. And we're certainly seeing that. We're seeing people holiday. We're seeing people travel. Of course, it's lighter than before. And of course, there are fewer people. But it is very pleasing, and I think far better than I could have hoped for, or dared to hope for, a number of months ago. The most exciting news for all of you that are going to Goa or have been there is we can now open and fill the pools. As you may know, there was a legislation one of the last legislations, I think, or regulations, not legislation, that we couldn't have the pools filled. So there are lots of people sitting around by the pool dying to dive in and cool off, but the pools are now open, so you can swim to your heart's content when you come over to Goa. And please do if you can. And I know you are, but please do if you can. Up in Europe, as we know, it's total lockdown pretty much everywhere. There are lights at the end of the tunnel, and I'll talk about that in a moment. From us as a company, we've been spending a lot of time getting Salford Hall, our new resort, ready to go. And we commissioned a historian to do a research on it with the intention of producing a book, which will be available to all members and when you go there. And we knew it had a good amount of history, but we've been blown away. I was up there last week and I had a lecture or a presentation by the lady who's done this. And it's incredible. I mean, the people that have been involved in this house, she said in all her years researching houses, she's never come across such a storied history. There was Lady Godiva was involved in it. We had the Benedictine monks who used it probably as the first hotel in England, which is a fantastic way things go around in circles. What they would used to do is they used to have visitors that would come to the monastery, or the abbey in Evesham, actually, and they wouldn't put them up there. They'd put them up at a house 3 or 4 miles away. So in theory, they could pray, but probably they could feast and do things they didn't want other people to see them doing. And this was one such of those houses. Henry VIII nicked it when the dissolution of the monasteries, and he gave it to a friend of his. And then we had a whole history of all the people involved in it. The person that had it had a painting done of him by Holbein, the very famous painter. So we'll get some copies of those up, or prints of those. And at various times in history, it's had all sorts of stuff happening. So that's going to be fun. I think you're going to enjoy that. We spent a lot of time and effort on the interior design and making sure it's going to look perfect. We hope to get it open in a very small way on April the 12th, primarily from the restaurant and the bar, which we can serve outside. But there are a number of self-contained units, which we'll be intending on operating as well, almost as a holiday let basis, before the grand opening on May 17th, when, if all goes according to plan, we will be able to open hospitality in a much more robust and large way. Let me tell you a little bit about some really exciting new programs, I think. I mean, some you've had sneak previews of, but they're all now about to be launched. And the first is Karma Concierge. Now, Karma Concierge is a new service that probably we should have done 20 years ago. But what we're doing is establishing a company, an operation, which will provide your full holiday services should you so request. And so, for instance, let's say you were going to go to Borgo de Colleoli. You get your block of time or your number of days or whatever it was. And either we would contact you or you'd contact Concierge, and they can assist with everything, whether it be the vanilla things like booking flights or car hires, or other things like restaurant recommendations, getting you into the tourist attractions at special times, recommending golf courses or whatever it need be. And they can either recommend them and then leave it up to you to book, or they can provide a seamless A to Z service, make the bookings, get you the good table, get you the good service, and then provide a whole portfolio which comes to you electronically, so you have your itinerary whilst you're there. And more than that, it'll work a little bit like TripAdvisor. What we want people to do is to give us their recommendations when you find that little pizza restaurant in Pisa. And we intend to have our owners writing reviews of all the restaurants. And so it'll be dynamic and grow as it goes along. And our hope is that it can service people not only when you come to, say, Borgo de Colleoli, but if you go on a business trip to New York or whatever, then it's a facility to go to see if we can provide any intel or any help. We're beginning in London. The office opens tomorrow, actually, in London. And initially, we will focus on the UK market. It's a great time to test it. It's relatively small. We can't do a lot of international stuff, so we'll start it off. But the intent will be to roll that out around the world, around all the areas we have resorts in or members in over the next few months. So watch the space, but I think that's going to be very exciting. And as someone said to me, what's the catch? There is no catch. It doesn't cost any money. It's just part of being a member. And I hope it's something that you'll enjoy and will add value to your holidays and will provide a good sort of add-on to your membership. The other thing we're starting is Karma Club. We believe very strongly in creating, particularly here in England, a club product that people pay for on an annual basis, like a normal social club, whatever it need be. Again, we're testing it here, and then we're planning on rolling it out. But this is particularly targeted towards the younger market and single people. I mean, I think that there's a huge potential for people that are maybe not experiencing karma to come on in a relatively cost-effective way and to experience our resorts and our products and travel the world with us. So again, expect to see more on that over the coming weeks. And then Karma Kasa. Karma Kasa is our version of Airbnb, really. We've launched a program where people can lodge within a database their holiday homes or their own home if they would wish to offer that to other members, and then other members can interact with them through that portal. That, again, just started. I think it's going to be successful, and I think it's an extra service. It's just one other thing, benefit of being a Karma member. So again, these things have come out of the COVID times. Maybe it's because we've had more time to think of things. Maybe it's been an opportunity to reflect. Maybe me not running around like a maniac sometimes, able to come up with more strategic thought. And I think, there's many terrible down things of COVID, but there have been some positive things. And I hope some of the things we're doing as a company are providing a bit of positive hope. I'm asked often these days, when are our resorts going to open? Our plan is Europe. We anticipate that probably they'll be opening the end of May and June. I think it'll coincide with things like vaccine passports and what have you. India is going to slowly increase on the same way. With Bali, we believe also that'll open up internationally in the next few months. My hope is that the Australian government will begin to relax travel, both in and out, but clearly we don't really know what's going to happen on that yet. But as I've said several times in the last few speeches, I really do see a light at the end of the tunnel. I do see that we're coming through this storm and that the worst is behind us. And although there are still going to be rocky moments, we can see clear exit routes to a new normal. Not so normal, but a new normal. Okay, well, let's get to a toast now. Now, first of all, before I talk about the toast, I want to apologise. When I last spoke to you, it was Australia Day, and I toasted Australia Day. And a day later, I was soundly kicked by many people, quite rightly, because, of course, it was also Indian National Day. And I didn't mention that. So I really do apologize to all our Indian members, friends. Please forgive me. It wasn't meant as a slight. It wasn't meant as anything other than me just being a dumb, or part of me, Aussie. So forgive me for that. India is very close to our heart. It's where we started. I love the country. And we do respect everything about India. So this is an Indian National Day toast for you. However, I did try very hard to find some Indian wine to toast you with. But in India, and this is again is no disrespect to India, Indian wine is not necessarily the best in the world, although it's getting much, 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 much better, I've got to tell you. And I'm even quite interested in trying to invest in the Indian wine business. But I couldn't find it in England, apart from some very bad stuff, which I think was probably meths rather than wine. So I look for inspiration, and I thought I'd honour the other day, which is happening tomorrow, which is International Women's Day, and honour all the ladies and the women by choosing some wine which is made by a remarkable woman, and it's, I think, one of the best wines in Australia, if not in the world. And it's Cullen's. Those of you that are West Australian probably know this. Here we are. Cullen's comes from Margaret River. You'll notice the date of it, a year of it, and you'll get really annoyed at me because it's 1999. When I came back from Australia, I brought back a fantastic cellar, including some very good old Cullen's. There's probably not one more bottle like this in England, I suspect, 1999. But anyway, the lady behind it is Vanya Cullen. It was started 2 generations ago by her grandfather, who was probably the forerunner of Margaret River wine. Her mother then did amazing things with it, and Vanya has taken it to a new level. It is a true biodynamic wine. It's an organic wine. Those things have become quite trendy now, but they're way, 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 way ahead of her time. It is Cabernet primarily with Merlot mix. Those of you that in Australia probably know it well. Those that don't probably don't, because it's quite hard to find outside Australia. But if you get a chance to get one, do. It's a fantastic wine. And although this is not the cheapest wine, it's worth every dollar, I think. But they also have some very good lower level, entry level wines. So if you see Cullen's, do it. And so we should toast Vanya, who's a wonderful lady. And on behalf of International Women's Day and Indian National Day, if we can rope it all together, let me toast you. So here it is. Oh, I should say, with a wine like this, I utilize one of my birthday presents. I mean, you can't really just have a wine like that out of the bottle. So here we go. You got to decant it. This is my happy octopus, my decanter. He's very thirsty. He likes to get through wine quite a lot, but it's been decanted for half an hour. So anyway, stay strong. It's been a year since this all began. It was March 9th, which is 2 days from now, 1 day from when you probably hear this. Strange year. Not a year I want us all to go through ever again. It's been a lot of bad, but also some good. And to a certain extent, it's proven that us human beings can deal with quite a lot, I think. And when we work together, there's a lot of good in what we can create. So stay healthy, stay safe, stay hydrated, and I am really looking forward to the time when we can properly drink around a bar soon, and I can see that's not going to be too long. Cheers. Thank you, Vanya.